This is the story of John. If you first met John, you wouldn't really be impressed. Not from a teacher's perspective, because every time you stood in front of the class to talk, he would be talking also. Whenever you tried to get the class's attention, John would be trying to get the class's attention also. He'd always mess around with his equipment. As soon as you gave the class a task, he would guarantee to be doing the opposite. Now, not being the teacher that liked to raise a voice, I used to simply give him a look, which meant, "Come on, John, you can do this." In fact, being honest, it wasn't my favourite class to go to, because it always felt that there was a tug of war for the class's attention. Very often I would praise the child next to John. I would give him options to do. If he preferred to draw or use the computer, I would do that. I would try to engage him. Nothing seemed to work. One day, after many months in the classroom, I walked over to him, and once again he was jostling at the table, trying to get all the children to be distracted. And he would be making jokes, and the children seemed to really like his jokes. Deep down, I think I knew that he was a born leader, but you could never tell from that. Now, I knew from the past he had had lots and lots of time out, and I didn't want to do that yet again. And to be quite honest, I was running out of options. So on this particular day, I walked over to his table and I leaned towards his left ear and I asked him very frustratedly, "John, what's the matter? Why are you always distracting children when I give them an instruction? It's time to write." And I'll never forget the look on his face. He looked up at me, with tears welling up in his eyes, pushing the book away in frustration from him. He said very clearly, "I can't read." I was so shocked because John was 11 years of age and had gone through the whole school system, the primary school system, and had not been able to read year after year after year. I looked back at John with tears now in my eyes, and I said, "John, I can guarantee you by the time you leave this school, you will be reading." He looked at me with his big brown eyes welling up again with tears, and almost as if the eyes said, "Thank you." So what we did, we gave up our lunch breaks and we sat together in the library reading plays after plays after plays. I was one character and he was another. How he loved to be the bossy character. It made me laugh. It was quite amusing. After many months of doing this, we could see progress being made. He started as an emergent reader and then he started reading more and more fluently. The more we read, the more he enjoyed it. At least his sense of humor was already there. He loved reading so much that one day he said, "Miss, can I bring my friends in? They've got no one to play with anyway, without me there." I agreed. The following day, John and his 4 friends entered the library. We extended our table, brought out more copies of the play, and each of us laughed until we cried every day as we began to read fluently. John was really surprised at himself. I wasn't. But I was glad that he made a realization that just because he's finding something challenging now, it doesn't mean that he won't conquer it the next day. And what was amusing about this was that I had to raise my voice and say, John, stop reading now. Lunchtime is over and we've got to go back to the classroom. By the end of the term, as I was walking home feeling very, very good for John, I heard somebody calling my name. Mrs. King! Mrs. King! I stopped and turned around and looked, and I saw a parent running towards me. I looked, quizzed about this, not knowing which way it would turn. And she threw her arms out and began to cry. She said, I'm John's mom. I couldn't get him to read at all. And now he won't put the books down. He wants to go to the library. He's always reading signs, letters. And as the tears ran down her cheeks, she said, I just wanted to thank you. That's a story I'll never forget. And by the end of that year, John was winning award after award for his fluent reading. John was actually practicing resilience. He knew he had the capacity as he began to read more and to read well. And he grew more resilient, he grew more strong, and he developed self-belief. And to this day, I'm still saying, well done, John.